nutritiously. Eat the foods that you know work for you, right? We often feel better, like in a GI way. There's less bloat. We just feel better inside of our bodies, and for many of us, when we eat well, we have more mobility. Like we can move throughout our lives better, and we're just more comfortable in our body. Notice I didn't mention the scalar weight loss, but those are the things you literally feel today when you fuel your body nutritiously today. So it's important to know your reasons why. And if you want to lose weight, fine, but also notice those immediate wins that you get. And to Roger's point about chocolate, you know, it can be there too. I would recommend make a plan for what you're going to eat today. Stick to the plan. If you need a little treat or you want to choose to have a little treat, add it to the plan and then just follow the plan, right? And then you can redirect all of your other mental energy and focus it on something else. There's no arguing about, oh, but I really want this, or I'm really bored, so I feel like eating that. No, there's no negotiation in the day. Make a plan, follow the plan, and then go obsess over something else that's fun to obsess over.
And if you fall off the chocolate wagon, forget all the guilt trip and don't give it up. Just start over like Kiteson, and you can do it.
Dark chocolate, right? There's health benefits.
And one thing, we talk about it with the blue zones, eat till you're 80% full. Well, if you eat more slowly and you eat that chocolate slowly, your body will, your blood sugar changes, right? If you eat the whole candy bar, your blood sugar shoots up. You eat a little bit, and if you eat slowly, your body will still get that same joy, but you're not going to necessarily crave the whole bar, because you've got that sugar spike. But people don't wait for the spike, or people eat until they're 100% full and then they wonder why they feel so bad after. It's like, eat slowly.
Yeah. And if you're really mindful about eating, say a treat, something indulgent, literally the best bite is probably the first bite, and the enjoyment does decrease, right, with the second bite. And is that all you need? And after that, are you just eating mindlessly for the right why?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier, Teresa. This is such an important topic of food as a comfort. In these times of stress and pandemics and all that we've done with the world and how we rush around and things, it's a very, very stressful world. And we this is a whole nother topic. It has to do with meditation, mindfulness, doing things that you love to do. But to want to treat your stress or your stress is probably the best way, but any discomfort that you're having in your life, emotionally, psychologically, it's natural. Food does that for you. Not really. It feels like it does it, but in the end, it doesn't do very much at all, except create more problems. Or television or alcohol or all of those things, very easy to do. So being mindful about those things, again, whole nother topic. We've done them before and we will. But relative to food, yes, be mindful of what you're eating and why you're eating it. I like that, Teresa.
Yes, I love the question. If you're reaching for a treat to numb some difficult emotion, ask yourself, what am I not willing to feel right now? Such a good question.
Masterpiece provides communities with personalized content that keeps residents engaged and focused on their unique pathway to healthy longevity, no matter the circumstance or external influence. Powered by Masterpiece provides communities with the data and research needed to drive both the resident and community forward. Learn more at mymasterpieceliving.com.
So Danielle, whenever we talk nutrition, we hear things about, proteins and vitamins and minerals and carbohydrates, and our head starts to spin, and, and labels on food, which we'll talk about in future episodes to break that down, because that's important. So can you give us a primer on this, not in any great detail because that'll come later. But what is all this? I mean, food is food, isn't it?
Well, you need a balance of all the proper foods. A lot of people are not getting enough protein. Protein in your diet helps your body repair cells and make new ones. So you need to be getting it through, whether you get it through meat, fish, soy products, nuts. You can get it from a variety of sources, but making sure that you're getting enough protein.
So, Roger, you mentioned being a pescatarian and that you eat fish. I always call myself a flexitarian. I eat meat and fish maybe once a week. Very limited dairy products anymore. And I'm moving more toward plant-based. That said, we all need a certain amount of protein in our diet. Women on average need about 46 grams of protein a day. Men need closer to 56 grams. And it can come from a variety of sources.
But making sure that you're getting enough protein. Vitamins and minerals. We have 13 vitamins that we need in our bodies. Some our body naturally stores. Some we can only get from food, or vitamin D we get from spending 10 minutes outside in the sun. So if we're eating a balanced diet, there's a good chance we're getting them, but variety. If you're eating all the same foods, you might find that you're deficient in something without knowing it. We need 17 minerals. Most are deficient in 10. And again, all of these are for your entire body functioning, for your immune system. So I would say protein, vitamins, minerals. And I would think the key point that I drive home is whatever diet, you can be an unhealthy vegetarian if all you're eating is processed foods. So whatever changes you make, Teresa mentions noting how you feel on the day to day. And I would say, check with your doctor. Roger, you say in Live Long, Die Short about lowering your risks. Well, check in, because your blood work is going to tell you, if you're low on protein, if you're low on iron, if you're low on zinc. So get the reports and make sure that you ask the questions to your doctor. And for me, if I don't know something, I'm Googling whatever I see in the lab. What does this mean? Just to know if you're on the right track.
Terrific. Sometimes we lose sight of the fact that all these things that we take into our food aren't just for pleasure, and calories. They are part of rebuilding injuries that we have. We replace our cells at a certain rate all the time. And so when we're replacing those cells, we need the basic building blocks of those cells. And things like vitamins in particular, but also the food, that's part of the metabolic processes that allow us to stay alive, keeps our heart going, keep our muscles moving and strong, keeps our bones strong. And so if we neglect any of those, as our body ages, and I don't mean long time, sometimes weeks. The astronauts came back, and this was mostly due to physical activity, but their bones had lost calcium because they weren't using them. But that can happen if you're not given the proper nutrients for strong bones, strong muscles, and then, as we said, performance in general. Food is our fuel, as Teresa said, right out of the chute here. And without it, and not only the fuel, but also the building blocks.
And it's quick, so when Teresa mentions the day to day on how you're feeling, like if I feel bad a particular day, my first thing is, what did I eat the night before? Did I get enough sleep? Like I'm weighing in, but also in a short period of time, you can do a whole overhaul. I had a client who made minimal changes. They had blood work. The triglycerides were through the roof. The good cholesterol was bad and the bad cholesterol was too high. And within 6 months, everything went back into the normal range. And it wasn't huge changes. Cut a little here, add a little here.
Kaizen, the way to go. I think that's exactly right. And you build on those. I got to put in a word for carbs. Carbs have got such a bad rap. And carbohydrates are a critical component of this whole process of our nutrition. In fact, when it really comes down to it, the only fuel that our body actually burns are carbohydrates. So we convert proteins and other foods into carbohydrates because that's the fuel our body uses. So we use meat and need meat and all that, but carbs are basic. And so certainly we have food now that's out there that's just loaded with it, and it's particularly attractive taste wise, and loaded with sugar, which I think that should be our last point, sugar. And this is a problem. We need them, but smart ones. Fruits, have great carbohydrates, and they haven't been altered for the most part, usually. And that's a good source. But carbs are not the enemy. Carbs are an essential point. But sugar is a carbohydrate. What about sugar?
The only thing I'll say about sugar is just naturally occurring sugar is the way to go. Adding processed stuff, and usually you don't have to add. That's about all I have to say about that.
Well, to your point earlier, Danielle, the more nutritious, healthy food you eat, the more your taste buds adjust and really appreciate that kind of food. And sugar is just takes away our ability to appreciate like really nutritious foods. I've definitely cut it out of my life little by little over the years. I even make jams and jellies now with no sugar or low sugar, and you can actually taste the fruit. It's so mumuch better.
Would you send me that recipe, Teresa?
I'll send you a jar.
Yeah. Well, and because as you know, I make grape from a small vineyard, a vine really, and I'd like to do that. Sugar, unfortunately, when we talked about our food having been kidnapped, it's something that increases the taste, and therefore it unfortunately is being put in so many things. Refined sugar. These are the complex sugars. The simple sugars are in the fruit. That's great. That's what we want. The complex ones are what we've processed, so to speak. And I have heard nutritionists say that sugar is poison to our system. It is.
Poison and addictive.
And addictive, yes. And that's why we have so much diabetes, particularly mature onset diabetes. Not the one people are born with. That's about your pancreas. But it upsets our whole metabolism so much that indeed people suffer from diabetes and on all the difficult chronic medical things that they get with that.
What about raw sugar? If you're going to use like a cane sugar versus like I have my turmeric reishi mushroom tea and I added just a tiny bit of raw sugar for flavor. Is that bad, or is it only can come because it's a natural source versus like a stevia?
Yeah, it's raw and it's closer to the sugar cane plant, but it is still processed, although in a relatively small. So it's better than refined sugar, the white stuff and other things added to the food, but in moderation, absolutely. But it is closer to natural. It's not fruit like, or taking a bite of a sugar cane, but it's closer. So I use it when I use sugar. Paula uses it in Paula has been mentioned 3 or 4 times. She's going to love it in her coffee. So yes.
Oh, honey. I was going to say my last thing was honey. So we could do a whole thing on just sugars.
I think Teresa was with our meeting we had once. We called them lyceums in Masterpiece Living when Masterpiece Living was having these meetings. And I remember we had a time where a nutritionist gave us 10 sweeteners that we would all taste, some artificial, some refined sugar, raw sugar. And you know which one won for the taste and everything in the vote? And as it turns out, was probably among the healthiest, honey. Well, I think, I hope that was our design, that this be a significant addition to the first one that we did. It's not the whole story, but it is our intent to not scare you away. It's just our intent to not confuse you. It's our intent that you begin to see the whole process of eating as something that is very pleasurable, yes, but absolutely necessary for your health, and one that deserves some discrimination, and namely being mindful about mindful when you're eating it, but mindful about what you choose to eat, making plans. Again, hydration, the mix. We're going to build on all of this. And so there's more to come. I hope we haven't scared you away at all. It wasn't our intent. We want to kites in this. And it was very important that you got all the core concepts. And I think we're ready to go to the